when Mac Jones can run 70 yards and then Gritty in the end zone, you know something's wrong. Right?
Dude, scraping into the playoffs.
Yeah.
You might as well just call that the Schmigley Jones parlay. Those are astronomical.
Come Veterans terrible. Kenny Galladay's good.
Oh.
Man, if the Giants win one playoff game, I'm going to be so hyped. All right, everybody, welcome back to another week of Drop a Pass, Run a Mile. This is the Week 12 preview. Just me this week, so it's going to be a quick one. I know with Thanksgiving coming around, a lot of us have plans, stuff like that. I know Jared couldn't make it. He's traveling. So it's probably going to be a quicker episode, but obviously wanted to get in here and recap what happened last week, and then obviously go over some of the stuff that's going to be happening on Thanksgiving Day, on Black Friday, and on Sunday as well. Let's get into our Red Zone recap to start off. First game we're going to look at here is the Bengals-Ravens. Obviously, Joe Burrow going down stinks, kind of for everybody. The game's a better place when Joe Burrow's in it. Bengals lose 34-20. Jake Browning, I will say, did not look bad. He was able to evade some of the pressure that the Ravens were putting on him. Really get out of the pocket pretty easily on some plays. And kept the Bengals, in the game. Garbage time touchdown to Jamar Chase as well. But Ravens still look like a good team. I mean, obviously putting up 34 on the Bengals defense. Bengals defense is okay. So they're going to be a team to watch moving forward for sure. But the Bengals now, I kind of had them as the sleeper to win that division. But now that Burrow's out, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for sure. We'll see if they can maybe sneak into the playoffs. But that AFC, it's a competitive division. So we'll see what happens. Next game we'll go to. As you can see, I am wearing a Giants jersey. That means the Giants won on Sunday. Thanks to Saquon Barkley and, of course, Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito, 280-something passing yards, 246 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, got sacked 9 times. Didn't bother the guy. He was slinging it. Obviously, Commanders helped us out with some fumbles. I won't say it was just the Commanders being completely lazy. Some of those were pretty good forced fumbles. Micah McFadden had his hat in there coming in, knocking the ball out. 3 fumbles, 3 interceptions for the Commanders. Crazy game for them. The Giants get the win, 31-19, tying our season high point total for a game. Going back to that Cardinals game week 2. But yeah, Tommy DeVito looking really good. Obviously Saquon, I think, had 140 scrimmage yards, two receiving touchdowns. So Darius Slayton got involved as well, so it was nice to see the Giants kind of putting it together a little bit. Next game is going to be Browns-Steelers. Not too much to talk about in this game. Matt Canada was fired by the Steelers organization, or as Mike Tomlin put it, waived of his coaching duties. And rightfully so. 13-10, final score in that game. Browns win on another last-second field goal. It's one of those games where you kind of just, you're watching it and you're like, well, somebody's got to win. But Steelers get the short end of the stick there, and the Browns now, I believe, second place in the AFC North. So, I mean, that defense, their defense is phenomenal. Their offense is bad. So it's a similar situation to the Steelers, but that Browns defense it's something crazy. You got a lot of really good defenses in that division, minus the Bengals. But obviously the Ravens, Browns, and Steelers all with really good defenses. So, interdivision games are going to be pretty low scoring, seems like. But yeah, Browns pull it off, win the game. I don't know the spread picks for this week. I didn't text Jared about that, so we'll get back to you next week with those. Next game, Texans-Cardinals. Texans beat them 21-16 in Houston. Another pretty good game for Stroud. I know he turned the ball over a few times. 3 interceptions, but still 336 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns. It's going to be tough to beat the Texans this year. And Kyler, 214 for a touchdown and an interception, as well as 51 rushing yards on the ground. His rushing total was set, the over-under, I believe, was set at 36. So another, easy over for Kyler's rushing yards. I definitely keep an eye on that for the next game. I forget who they're playing next week, but we'll get to that. Next game here, Jags-Titans. Jags win 34-14. I know D-Hop had a touchdown towards the end. Really light work for the Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, 262 yards and 2 touchdowns. ETN, 14 carries, 52 yards. But Calvin Ridley kind of came out of his little cave he's been in and put up 7 catches for 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's a very, very spotty guy. So not sure from a fantasy perspective if that's somebody that you want to keep on your team. I know probably a lot of the trade deadlines in your leagues are now gone and past, so you might be stuck with them. But, yeah, definitely a tough fantasy player from, starting or benching perspective. Next game, Dolphins-Raiders. Raiders stayed in this game, lost 20-13, but, I believe the spread for this game was set at 12.5 or 13.5, obviously in favor of the Dolphins. Jalen Ramsey, though, coming up with 2 interceptions, looking like the Jalen Ramsey of years past. And then A-Chain injured the knee, came in, took a couple snaps, re-aggravated the knee. So we'll see where he is moving forward. Obviously, that Dolphins offense is already fun, but it's a lot more fun with him in it. Tua still 325 passing yards, and Tyreek with 146 receiving yards. Good day for the Dolphins. I'd say better day for the Raiders than most people were expecting. So good on them for holding the Dolphins at 20 points. Having a few turnovers, I believe. Tua threw an interception and lost a fumble along with Julian Hill. So don't know who Julian Hill is, but if the Dolphins can't hold on to the ball, they're going to let the other team stay in the game. And they still haven't beaten anybody good. So see what happens there. This game was no surprise to really anyone. Cowboys beat the Panthers 33-10. Deron Bland, I believe his name is Blanche. I think it's Bland. Deron Bland. 4 pick sixes now on the year. Ties the NFL record for most pick sixes in a single season. And we're just over the halfway point. So it'd be kind of cool to see a player get the record, but we'll see what happens. Light work for the Cowboys. Tony Pollard. Believe I shouted out Tony Pollard saying that he was going to finally get in the end zone this week, and it happened. He had to work for it. He had to run over a few people, but he got in. I wouldn't be surprised if he's an Angry Runs candidate. Maybe even the winner for, what's that guy's name? Kyle Brandt's Angry Runs. But yeah, good game for the Cowboys. They did what they were supposed to. Panthers also did what they were supposed to. Lose games. Is what it is. Next game, Lions-Bears. This was looked like a lock for the Bears to win. Lions got the ball back, I believe, with about 1:30. Went down the field, scored, and then Justin Fields. They're up by 3, and then Justin Fields fumbled. Aiden Richardson came around the edge, forced the fumble, ball went out of the back of the end zone. Safety, game over. Lions get the ball and kneel it out. But a good game, probably a little better than most people were expecting from the Bears' perspective. They put up 26 on the Lions, so not too bad. Let's check out Fields' stats here. 169 through the air, but another 104 on the ground for Fields, which is pretty good. Khalil Herbert was also back this week. 16 carries for 35 yards, nothing special. Deontay Foreman still getting it done now, getting in the end zone. Only 6 carries for 14 yards, but had the rushing touchdown. DJ Moore, 96 yards through the air, which is pretty crazy. Counted for a lot of Justin Fields' passing yards. And yeah, I believe that's all we need to talk about for that game. Goff, 3 interceptions though. 3 interceptions for Goff against the Bears. He looked sloppy early, but he came back, got the job done. Lions win. Continue rolling on. First time since JFK was president that the Lions are now 8-2. Interesting fact. I am going to get some water. I will be right back. I don't know if I can pause or play. We'll see what happens. All right, got a little bit of water. We're good to go. I know Rod had to do this once last year where it's just him talking. Kind of feel the pain now. So, we're going to move on to Chargers-Packers. I saw a little clip of Quentin Johnston when he got drafted. He said, my mom's retiring, putting her 2 weeks' notice. She doesn't have to work for the rest of her life. Well, news to Quentin Johnston, you still got to work for the rest of your life, and you got to start catching balls. Herbert hit him on a deep shot, to get in field goal range, towards the end of the game there on the final drive for the Chargers, and it went in and out of his hands, similar to MVS on Monday Night Football. But we'll get there. We'll get there. So Packers beat them 23-20. I didn't see it coming. The Chargers disappoint week after week. It is what it is. And yeah. Did I say the Packers disappoint or the Chargers? I think I said the Chargers. Packers disappoint sometimes, but I think they're heating up. Jordan Love, I think he played pretty well this game. 322 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Not a bad game for Jordan Love. I think he's going to finally start getting into a rhythm again like he did to start the year. Also, Herbert, 73 yards on the ground. Kind of crazy. A little weird there. Moving on to the 4 o'clock games. We got Buccaneers, 49ers. 49ers beat them 27-14. There was a little glimpse of hope for the Buccaneers at the end there, but they couldn't get in the red zone, or the end zone. They could get in the red zone, they just couldn't get in the end zone. So that's what killed them. Not too much to talk about in this game. Brock Purdy did have a phenomenal day through the air, I believe. 333 yards for 3 touchdowns. That's 4 threes, 3 of them in the passing category, 1 of the 3s in the passing touchdown category. So good day for Brock Purdy through the air. 78 yards on the ground for McCaffrey. Ayuk, 156 yards. He had a 76-yard touchdown catch as well. So that was cool. Next game, Bills-Jets. The Bills, this was a get-back game for them. They needed this. They needed this to, prove everybody that, you beat the Jets, you're not really proving too much, but, just to let everybody know, hey, stop the talk. It's okay. We're here. We're going to win some games. Don't worry about it. We'll be coming back. So, Bills, 32, Jets, 6. Tough game. Zach Wilson now benched for Tim Boyle, who's got 3 career starts, and he's 0-3 in all of them. His stats, he's bad. And Zach Wilson didn't just get benched. He got moved down to 3rd string. So it goes, Tim Boyle, and then, I don't even know who the 2nd string guy is. Might need to... Somebody signed Joe Flacco, too. Who was that? I think the Browns signed Joe Flacco. Jets might need to make an illegal trade after the trade deadline to get Joe Flacco back in there. Because Joe Flacco on the Jets kind of elite. Kind of reliving the glory days with him there. But we'll pass on that game. We'll go to the next game. Seahawks-Rams. Rams beat them 17-16. I said it was a weird game because I think the spread at the start of this game started off as Seahawks +2, and I was like, why are the Rams favored in this game? I knew something weird was going to happen. Seahawks could have won the game, but Jason Myers, long field goal attempt, wide left, I believe, and couldn't come up with the win there. So Rams beat them 17-16. Both teams look a little sloppy. Kenneth Walker's doubtful for next week, so not sure what's happened there. But Charbonnet, he's a beast. 47 yards, 3 yards a carry. Not terrible, but dude's a monster. He's we talked about it before, he's like Doug Martin, but I think he's probably more muscular and faster maybe. I don't know. Crazy dude. Sunday Night Football, Broncos-Vikings. Sorry about that. This is a lot of talking, getting a little hoarse. So, Let's go to the Sunday Night Football game. Broncos-Vikings in Denver. Vikings get out to a pretty good lead. It's Josh Dobbs' season, but it's also Russell Wilson's season. Dude's still elite. He came back, threw it to Courtland Sutton, who is also just an absolute beast all of a sudden. You throw it to Courtland Sutton, he's going to catch the ball. It doesn't matter who's guarding him. It doesn't matter where he's at, how high the ball is, how low the ball is. Had a one-handed snag on a 4th down. It was DPI, so they would have got the first anyway. But he had a one-handed snag earlier in the drive. Low ball, still caught it. Then he goes up in the corner of the end zone and just mosses the guy, Guy can't hang. Just can't hang. And then, obviously, the Broncos defense stops him. And, Vikings lose 21-20. Tough day for the Vikings for sure. All right, just blew my nose. It started off okay, but now I'm just I don't know what's going on. Getting allergies out of nowhere. But you guys expect a good product come Thursday morning, and that's what I'm going to try and give to you. So let's move on. We got the Eagles-Chiefs game. Monday Night Football. A lot of, it's one of those games where everybody's like, the exact same thing that happened in the Super Bowl is going to happen in this game. And that didn't happen. A lot of rushing yards for both running backs. Hurts was held under his rushing total, which I believe was at 36. But still 2 touchdowns on the ground for him. And yeah, Eagles beat him 21-17. It seems like this year, if you can put up more than 20 points on the Chiefs, you're going to beat them. And when the Chiefs got receivers that can't catch the ball, that's what happens. I think they have the highest drop percentage in the NFL. And that deep ball towards the end of the game, MVS, perfect pass, right in the breadbasket, couldn't haul it in. Obviously a tough game for the Chiefs, but Eagles continue their dominance over the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see next week. Who do they have next week? I think they got a pretty tough schedule moving forward. Bills next week. Interesting game, but we will get to that later. That concludes the Red Zone recap. I did not receive rankings for Rod's Rapid Rankings, so I sadly will be skipping that for today. So that means that we're going to move along right on into let's talk about it. I'll talk about it with myself for a little bit. Anything to talk about? I could talk about the Giants possibly making the playoffs, but probably not going to happen. I kind of wish we would have lost to the Commanders, but we're going to beat the Commanders. Doesn't matter the record. Doesn't matter who's on the field, who's the quarterback, what's their record, how many sacks they've given up. Doesn't matter. Kayvon Thibodeau is going to be in the backfield, and the Giants are going to win the game. That's what's going to happen when we play the Commanders. So, other than that, I'm trying to think of any other news. And I don't really think there's too much to talk about. Wasn't a ton of upsets this week, I don't believe. Let me go back to the schedule, see if there's anything. I mean, obviously Giants over Commanders, but I don't need to talk about that anymore. You had the Rams game. Broncos, obviously, were kind of like, can they continue the streak? They did. But, yeah, really not a ton going on this week in the NFL. Taylor Swift wasn't at the game. Travis Kelce didn't play well. So that's something to keep in mind now, I guess, which is annoying. But I think the NFL is just going to milk that cash cow until they can't milk it anymore. So Taylor Swift's got to start coming to some games. We'll move on to moneymakers. I did not make the same game parlay yet, so let me do that. I will get back to you. Okay, I actually do have the DPRM TNF SGP, which I will get to. It's a little different than usual, but we're still rocking with that plus 100 odds, but it's not SGP because of Thanksgiving. So, moving on to player props for this week. Just some that I'm going to try and pull off the top of my head here. I kind of like Kamara getting in the end zone against the Falcons. I believe the Saints had a bye last week, so I think Kamara gets in there. But the Falcons-Saints games are always interesting. They're always close, so that's one to keep an eye on. We got a lot of close games this week, not necessarily good games, but they're close. A lot of low spreads this week. Another one I would say, I kind of like, so the Steelers-Bengals game, over-under set at 34. I kind of like the over in this game. Obviously, we got the new offensive coordinator in there. He's going to be trying, to make some noise in that game. Actually, maybe I don't like the over. No. I'm not going to touch that game. Player props, though. Player props. Something with the Colts. Something about the Colts, I think. Let's take Michael Pittman over on receptions. That feels good. Against the Buccaneers, that feels good. I think Gardner Minshew could possibly be slinging that game. And then For the Browns-Broncos game, the spread's at -2.5. But let's take... No, I'm staying away from that game too. I don't like it. You know what? Let's do this. Let's take Kyler Murray's over on rushing again against the Rams. If that's set around that 30 to 40 range, like the 35 to 40 range, I like taking Kyler's over on rushing again. I think he's gonna perform again. So to get to the DPRM P this week, just parlay the DPRM P. We got a plus. Let me check my odds on this. Plus 130 odds. We're gonna take. I don't know. I'm assuming there's gonna be an upset. Out of the 3 games, we got Packers versus the Lions, we got Commanders versus the Cowboys, we got Niners versus the Seahawks. Out of those 3 games, we're probably gonna have at least one upset. But I think they're all gonna be fairly close games. Packers are obviously kind of on a resurgence. They're on a little bit of a hot streak now. Lions riding hot as well. Should be a good game there. Commanders Cowboys. You get beat by the Giants, but you come back the next week, and I think that one could be a little close too. And then the Seahawks 49ers game, I don't think it's in Seattle. I don't think the Niners are just going to run them over. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a little close. So, for the parlay this week, we have Packers plus 14.5. We have Commanders plus 18, and we have Seahawks plus 13.5. That gives you to plus 130 odds. Pretty big spreads, but I like it. We're gonna ride with it. We're gonna see what happens. We're gonna ride with it, and believe that concludes the moneymakers section. I don't think there's anything else we really need to talk about there. Again, I don't recall any of Jared's picks from last week. I know he's been doing well. We'll have to get an update from him. Maybe we'll throw out an Instagram post or something. Gonna be skipping over the 2-minute drill because can't give myself trivia questions, which means we are going to be moving right along into the pigskin predictions, as Jared likes to call it. Not here, sadly, so I had to fill in. Hopefully that filled in okay. Let's take a look at this week's schedule. Packers-Lions. Lions opening up the game at -7.5 point favorites against the Packers. I think I'm going to take the Packers here, plus 7.5. I like that pick. Like I said, I don't think there's going to be too many blowouts. I think the Packers can stay in it. I think Jordan Love's cooking up something finally. Christian Watson, I believe, had 2 touchdowns last game. I think he's going to play a big role in this game as well. Next game we'll go to is the Commanders-Cowboys game. Cowboys, minus 10.5 point favorites. But like I said, I think the Commanders could be sneaky. I don't know, though. Their defense is pretty bad. But their offense is pretty decent. Kind of. Except for last game. If they can somehow protect Sam Howell, I think we could have a close game. I also think Dak could throw a few interceptions, possibly. We saw that last Thanksgiving. Giants, I believe, were leading at halftime, and then we got smoked. Can't say I'm surprised. Next game, we got 49ers versus Seahawks in Seattle. Niners open up as a minus 6.5 point favorites. I think this is going to be a close game. So I'm going to be taking the Seahawks here. I don't know if I gave a pick for that last game. I'm gonna roll with the Commanders plus 10.5. We're gonna say that. Like I said, I think they're gonna be close. So again, we're gonna take the Seahawks at plus 6.5 here. Like that. We'll see what happens. We have the Black Friday game. First time ever. Dolphins facing the Jets in MetLife. Dolphins open up at a minus 10.5 spread. I mean, yeah, we're gonna take that. Minus 10. Sorry, not 10.5. Just 10. We're going to take the minus 10. It's also at 3 p.m. Kind of odd. But yeah, like, the Jets just... Tim Boyle... I might take the Dolphins at minus 20 in this game. I know the Jets have a good defense. I don't know. Man, I don't know. I mean, I'm taking minus 10. But this is going to be an interesting game. Jets got the good defense. Dolphins got the good offense. And Dolphins also have a good defense. So I think Jets team total under 6.5 is a safe play. I hate to say it, but I think that's a safe play. and then we'll see what happens from there. For Sunday, Patriots Giants 2-8 versus 3-8. Giants still haven't had their bye week. Patriots are favored by -3. I'm going to be taking the Giants here at +3. I like the Giants here coming off a win against the Commanders. I think we can get something rolling. Might be a little too late, but I know those boys want to win. And Tommy DeVito wants to cook, so let the man cook. Steelers-Bengals. Steelers have the -1 spread against the Bengals in Cincinnati. I'll go with the Steelers -1. I'll go with the Steelers -1. I'm going to hope for some big things out of the new OC there. I'm not sure who it is, but they got to be better than Canada. So we're gonna roll with that. Next game we got Jaguars-Texans in Houston. Jaguars are -2-point favorites. Texans had their number last time. I think it's going to be close. I think I'm going to roll with the Jags -2 here, but I wouldn't hate taking Texans +4.5. That sounds nice. So that's one to keep your eye on. That's going to be a good game. Next one we got is Buccaneers-Colts in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is -2.5 favorites. The NFC South is always weird, and the Colts, last game they played, they won against the Patriots, I believe, 10-6 in Germany. I'm going to be taking Buccaneers +2.5. I think they're the better team. But again, kind of an interesting game there. Buccaneers in dome stadiums. Last time they played in a dome stadium was against the Texans. And that didn't go too well for them. But they were in it. They put up a lot of points. And I don't know if that Colts offense can put up a lot of points. But we'll see. It's going to be an interesting game. Probably said that 100 times now. But keep your eye on it. Next game, another NFC South game. Excuse me. Gotta sneeze. All right. I'm back. Saints-Falcons. Falcons are -1.5. I think the Falcons are I think they're done. They could lose out. I don't know. But I like the Saints +1 coming off the bye. Titans-Panthers. I think this is going to be a surprisingly high-scoring game, possibly. I'm going to be taking the Titans at -3.5 in Tennessee as well. Either high-scoring, good close game, or the Panthers could run. I could see maybe some pick sixes or something from the Panthers. Weird. I don't know. Sorry, I'm gonna go back to the moneymaker section right now. I wanted to pick first touchdown scores for each game. We're gonna go Amon-Ra for the Lions. And we're just going to pick one. So we're going to go Amon-Ra for the first game. We're going to go Brian Robinson. No. Yes, we're going to go Brian Robinson for the second game. And for the Niners-Seahawks game, we're going to go... Let's get C-Mac in the end zone first. We're going to go C-Mac. So we're going to have Amon-Ra, Brian Robinson, C-Mac as first touchdown scores in those three games. Going back, Rams-Cardinals, 4:05 on Sunday. Rams come out as -0.5 favorites. I'm going to take the Cardinals in this one. I think with Kyler, they're a completely different team. They're a competitive team. And I think they could win this game against the Rams. Next game we got is Broncos-Browns. Broncos come out as -2.5 favorites. I think I'm going to take the Broncos here just because that Broncos defense has been looking good, and I don't think that Browns offense can put up enough points to compete. Next game, Chiefs-Raiders. Chiefs -9-point favorites. I think I'm going to roll with the Chiefs here. The Chiefs always seem to kind of, put the hurting on the Raiders. I think it's going to continue. Chiefs -9. I like that. Bills-Eagles. The Eagles come out as -3.5 favorites. I'm going to take the Bills here. I don't really know why, but I'm going to take the Bills. I kind of like a +3.5 for the Bills. It seems, again, they got moving against the Jets, and I think they could continue to get moving against the Eagles too. I think it could be closer than most people might expect. And then Sunday Night Football, we got Ravens-Chargers in LA. Ravens -3.5 favorites. Kind of odd, because you would think They would be bigger favorites. Ravens got good defense, too. But Baltimore and LA, that's odd. It's an odd place for them to play. I feel like they don't really see that part of the country very often. I'm gonna take the. I'm gonna take the Ravens at -3.5. Final answer. And then a Monday Night Football matchup that most people might not be too pumped about, but we'll see what happens. Vikings-Bears. Vikings come out as -3.5 favorites. They are in Minnesota. Coming off a tough loss to the Broncos, I think they come back and win against the Bears. I think the Bears are in lose mode, whether Fields or Badgett is the quarterback. Excuse me. So I like the Vikings there -3.5. And that is the quick DPRM podcast. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you all enjoy some good football and some good food. And we will see you next week. Hopefully not just myself. Jared will be there as well. I believe that concludes the episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a great day. Have a great night. And have a happy Thanksgiving. See you again next week.